Remember, I said small things, little tasks, get things done. Well, I'm working my way through it, but I was here looking at this sedum, and in spring, or not even in spring, I think in autumn, it had these beautiful pink flowers, and then the leaves were green, but they've turned red now. Look how red they look, like pinkish. But like I thought that was it. It'll green up again and then bloom once spring gets here. But look, I was looking at it and I noticed that it's got all these new growth inside. How cute those little rosettes are. That's what the leaves looked like. So I don't know whether to cut these top branches now, or whether to leave them for the whole of winter, so that when spring gets here, these the new growth is all nice and healthy, or doesn't get frostbitten. I suppose these leaves are protecting it now. So I wanted to cut it, but then I'm gonna leave it. So I just wanted to show you guys how cute is that. I love seeing these surprises in the garden. Yeah, so that's waiting to grow, and it's gonna be so pretty because those flowers are so lovely. I don't know if I got a picture of it. I'll try and insert something there. And then next thing is I want to work on this sedum, this Angelina sedum as well. It's done now. I need to cut back all this old growth and let the new ones pop out. And see, they have this lovely lime green color, but now it's done. It's grown from spring last year, from September last year, 2024. So I'm waiting for this year. It'll be so lovely as well. Yeah, I need to cut off the old growth, so let me put up the camera and I'll just give it a snip. I can propagate all of them, but it's so tedious to do these little ones, thousands of them. I'll just cut them for now. I might just throw them in a bowl and they'll grow. They just catch up on their own and sprout. So if I'm not lazy, I shall plant them individually. If I'm lazy, I'll just throw them somewhere and wait for them to grow. But as long as I get out this old growth, these succulents need a trim regularly. That's what makes them put out fresh growth. Otherwise you can see they get leggy. Again, I should have brought a bowl to pick up all this. Bad planning. When I just see things, I just want to do them. Right, yeah, that's looking good. So if I propagate it, I'll have a whole new batch of this to plant elsewhere. Okay, I did go wild and cut off almost everything. There's it here, and the whole batch there. But look, all this new growth inside. Now it can come out looking fresh and green. Looks bare, but it's for its own good. So things have to go through a period of dormancy till they sprout again, and that new growth is going to be so pretty and vibrant here. Right, let me get on to something else now.
I came back and tried to plant these cuttings and see how much I could get into the ground, so that would leave a lot less to be propagated. If I put them in the ground, they'd sprout and I don't have to do anything. And I cut up as much as I could, and I started planting them around the same space, so that whole patch will be nice and green. But yeah, you can see how it looked there, but in the end laziness won, and I gave up on it and left them all lying around there, and I still didn't propagate it. And I wish I did propagate it, because after that we had so much of rain, and just days and days of rain, and I couldn't go back out there, so those cuttings are just lying there in the rain. They should be fine, because I'm sure they dried that day, and I just had to wait for this rain to stop so I could go back and start working on all these little cleanup projects around. And this is the rain that I was talking about. Melbourne gets rain non-stop in winter. All our rain comes in winter. So I got out finally once it stopped, and went to tackle this portulaca that I was supposed to cut back. And yeah, you can see how all the stems are so scraggly. So I will need to cut them all back, and it would just make the spot look a bit neater also, because it's just all standing up with no leaves, and it's just doing nothing there. If I cut it back, then if it's going to grow, it will grow. And as I said, it's doing nothing. So if I cut it back, the new growth can shoot out. Although I didn't see any new growth at the bottom like I did with the sedum. I'm just hoping that if I cut it back, it starts to sprout new shoots. I don't know if I can cut these stems. And the stems, the dark stems had an orange flower, and the light green stems had a pink flower. So I know the color of these flowers for this portulaca here. So I was hoping to propagate the stems, and I don't know if the stems will grow, but I'll try. Yeah, for now it's just clean up all this scraggly bits. And all these weeds that want to get in here. Need to get out all those weeds as well. That already looks so much better with all those stems cut off and cut away. Yeah, it's much cleaner now. And that's opened up that space. And I'll have to tackle these stems one of the days. I don't know if, as I said, I don't know if they'll grow. But I found some footage to show you of what the flowers look like. And look how pretty these orange, like an orangey red and that pink at the back. I took so many photos of this plant over autumn, because this was all late autumn, I think, from summer, I think late summer, and it just bloomed and bloomed, and it was so bright in the spot. Very pretty. And yeah, so back to tackling this. The next one is this imbricata. This imbricata just bloomed, well, not bloomed, it grew so much over summer. It filled this entire spot. And I had the grass in that pot previously, and that grass, was hanging over it, but you could just see how huge it was. It was like big cabbages there. The blooms were so huge. So it's not doing well because you can see the rain just gets in between each of the leaves and they get to the stem. And even though the soil is a bit dry, but the whole rosette holds all the water. So that's why I needed to come and clean it out, because I saw the leaves were all looking mushy. And well, they were dry leaves from the summer, which I didn't clean off. And I needed to just pull it out and reset them, because this imbricata does need a refresh. If you don't do that, they just get a sort of a bloom spike and the whole thing also dies. But if I cut it and reset it, because I started this from like scratch last year when I started the garden in the front, there was hardly anything left, and from just small cuttings I made so many of these imbricata rosettes. So yeah, just clean up all those leaves and all that debris from around it. But yeah, you can see the stem when I picked it up. It looked so black, and it was hard. I mean, it was firm. It wasn't mushy, but that didn't look right anyway. It shouldn't be black like that. And I cut it, and you could see the rot had actually gone in. So it must have seeped in from, each of the leaves. And as much as I cut it back, the rot had gone right to the top. So I just left them on that rock. I was hoping they'd dry out, but maybe I need to take it somewhere else and out of the weather and leave it to dry properly, and maybe it will sprout again. Because if the leaves get wet again, that's definitely, that little bit is going to go as well. Look at this leaves, so full of debris. Yeah, I need to cut all of this, but it's good. I'm doing it now. Better late than never. And so everything will, so if I do one patch at a time, they'll all be neat. And then once winter is over, well, still got a long way to go. We're just at the start of July. Got 2 more months of winter to deal with, and all this rain. So that's that. Have to deal with this wet season. Yeah, that huge rosette that I took out, I need to set that back in the spot. And I was going to leave the roots, but I think I'm just going to cut the whole thing out because it's quite tall. And maybe that, even with it being cut, it might get new roots and be fresher for the season, for the new season. There was some rot here as well, but not as bad. So I just placed it on the ground and I think I might go back and take it out from there. I don't know, because if the water gets into that freshly cut stem, that whole thing is going to go. Yeah, much neater and compared to what it looked like. But I went and looked for some footage from the summer to show you what it looks like, or what it looked like, and you'd see, I mean, here, it was massive. It covered that entire spot. It was so full that it started smothering the smaller ones around, and it just loved it here. This spot was like the perfect spot for it. It filled up that entire curve. Look how cool it looked. Yeah, that was it. That was a lovely summer. And then I went to check on my dandelion, which I planted here. And this one, I said I was going to fertilize it, but I don't think that's good because it's just getting bigger and bigger, but no flowers are coming from it. This one in particular, it's just so tall, and I think it needs they need neglect, these dandelions, and I wanted to test it and see if I give it lots of care, if it gives me lots of blooms, but it's not doing that. And the ones that are neglected are the ones that are blooming. This other one I planted here is lost amongst all these leaves that are falling here, and I don't see any flower there. Listen, dandelions don't need a lot of care. You just need to throw them somewhere and let them grow. And the ones that are lying here, look, they just in the crevice, they bloomed even. And they, I didn't give them any care. I didn't even plant them there. They grew on their own. And this one here that I transplanted is just huge for nothing, with no flowers. And the one in the front yard, that also I didn't plant, growing on its own, and I left it, and look how pretty that little yellow ray of sunshine. And I don't know if I haven't seen any bees come to them, but yeah, well, it's just a pop of color for winter. And as I said, I didn't plant this one. This one's bloomed, and the other one on the other side of this front garden bed is also blooming. And look, on this dull day, 2 bright yellow flowers. How pretty. So if anyone's looking for any food, bees especially, there's some dandelions. And this one too I didn't plant, grew on its own. It's also blooming. This one is in the back garden. So I think I have to just let them sprout wherever, and not plant ones there wherever again. Oh, I wonder if the one that I planted is a true dandelion or a proper weed. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the time in the garden this week, and I shall catch you next week. Bye.